Welcome to new live streaming. Today we're gonna be talking about with God, all things are possible. So we're gonna be reading the book Matthew chapter 19, verse 25 to 26. We're talking about the only two verses that talk about something that was happening between the disciples. God was teaching them about how can be safe, and they were asking about themselves, what's the way, how can be that possible to be saved. So we go to the Bible, the book of Matthew chapter 19, verse 25 to 26 says like this. It says when his disciples heard it, they were greatly astonished, saying, who then can be saved? But Jesus looked at them and said to them, with men this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. So something's happening, was like a man, was like a young man, like a rich young man. They get through Jesus Christ and ask him like how he can be saved. And I think what he's saying you gotta follow the commandments. And the Bible said that guy, the young man says he was doing everything. And then Jesus asked him to sell everything that he had and give to the people, give to the poor. And the Bible said the rich young man used went back to what belonged to. And then Jesus started talking to the disciples, saying they were more easy to a camel go through to the small small hole than like a rich go to the heaven. And then they were asking about it. Well, they were thinking about how can be that possible, and they were asking themselves who can be saved. And the Bible is teaching us through the what the Jesus teaching. Like we cannot be saved, by our own strength. We cannot be saved by by ourselves. You gotta be something more powerful than we are to be able to give you the eternal life. And that's what the verse of today is talking about. Anything we can imagine, anything we can ask about, we can try to do by ourselves. There's no way to do it. The only way, the only one who can do all those impossible things, you know to be true, that's God. God has the power to do extraordinary things, to do things we can imagine, that God is able to do. And we go to the Bible, we go to, when Jesus Christ was teaching about the kingdom of God, we see him teaching, we see him doing miracles, we see him taking care of the people, taking care of the needs that the people have. And sometimes we see Jesus with no money, with only a few pieces of bread and a few fishes. And we see him giving food to a multitude. And that's only things that's something only God can do. And sometimes we think ourselves about our life, we think ourselves about how our situation, and we are asking ourselves how how we gonna be able to get out, let's say some debit, get out, to be able to pay the rent, to be able to pay all the bills. And we're saying you know what, um that's having very hard right now, then I'm not being able to buy everything I want, all the food I wanted for my family, for my kid. But when you see something extraordinary happen, and we start thinking, on our mind, and start asking ourselves how that happened. And sometimes we don't find any answer. We don't find any um any way we to find out how that happened, and why we cannot find out, because that's something that only God can do. I mean, God had the power to build new things from a bad thing, from old things. And the Bible talks mostly about it. And when like we start like to knowing God, we start like when we give our life to Him, He start taking care of it. He start like making like new things, He start like taking away all those things like have been contaminated, and He's like fixing them. He put like a new soul. He's putting like a new spirit. He's putting like He's fixing everything inside us. And for the for science, that's something is not possible, because even like at this moment today with all the technology that we have, like they can, you can see this virus what we use have. They've been like they don't even know how to deal with it. Every time they make like they make up a scene for them, and something new come through, 'cause something more powerful come through, and they'll be thinking, they'll be asking themselves like, why, how that happened, and because they have only like a limited power. They don't have like all the knowledge. But God have all the knowledge. God had all the power that can do all things like for the man. It's impossible. He can do it possible. But we need to believe. That's why we need to believe on God. We need to believe like He can do something extraordinary in our life. Doesn't matter how hard it is. Doesn't matter like how difficult it looks like. For Him, nothing is impossible. And you might thinking about like your family. You might think about like your children. You might think about your husband, your wife. You might thinking like have been like doing bad things, like things like have been destroying the family. But God can do something extraordinary in the family. But we just need to believe. We just need to believe that He can do it, and He's able to do it. But we need to believe. It's not something like we know He can do it. We need to really believe, very strong believing that He can do all things possible. And doesn't matter how hard it is, doesn't matter how dark the night came, doesn't matter like how how hard those problems they came through to our life. We need to keep believing. We need to keep like thinking, and all the power of God has. He has like unlimited power. He is the creator. He created the world. He created like everything. He created us, so He can do anything that is not possible for us. And that's it with the message for today. And I have been blessed to you. And I have to share this video. That's the case. And I'll see you next Tuesday at 10 p.m. with a new live stream.